In 2022, we spoke with former KMT lawmaker-at-large Jason Hsu, who, during his time at the Legislative Yuan, made his mark in defense, technology, and trade. His achievements went beyond the halls of Taiwan's parliament. As co-founder of TEDx Taipei and senior ambassador for TEDx Asia, he often spoke about the importance of resilience, collaboration, and sustainability. We share Hsu's story once more in this week's edition of Taiwan Talk.
Both of my parents work in the night markets. My mom managed a beauty parlor. And in fact, when I was little, she would have this stand in the night market and she would do facial treatment to the women and ladies in the night market. I would sit next to her and then do my school homework. And that's my childhood. And, growing up in the night market teaches me to have a strong survival instinct, because I would be literally working with my mom and then meeting with everyone coming to night market and also the food stalls and then, see how they try to survive and then compete. So you could say that this entrepreneurial DNA runs in my family. And so my mom now owns a beauty parlor, a hair salon, and several other chain stores around the night market. So I'm still quite a kid that's rooted in this southern Taiwan tropical night market style.
What was the most memorable experience you got growing up in that environment?
So my mom didn't receive any formal education. However, she taught me everything I knew about being a good person, a person that's always have the intention to give back to society. So she would work very hard. Grit is everything that I learned from her. And even though we weren't well off and she had to work 12 to 15 hours a day, and she would always tell me, if you have an opportunity, you should create other opportunities for other people. So she would ask me every day at the end of the day to go collect paper box from each food store. So we would then compile those paper box for about a week or two, or even sometimes a month, and then we will sell it to whoever wants to buy the paper box for their recycling business, and in exchange for money. And sometimes money is that we collected from selling those paper box was sizable, and we would then give a portion of that money to the homeless people. And so this type of example set by my mom continue to influence me to this day, and to show me that if we have resources, we must help others. And that's how we can grow as a community and grow as a society.
What originally sparked your interest in politics?
So I co-founded TEDx Taipei, introduced TED Talks to Taiwan in 2009. And I sort of make it my mission to find 1,000 stories to share. So every story I would turn it into a TED Talk. So from 2009 to 2015, I was organizing TEDx events across the island, and I also helped initiate other TEDx chapters in universities in Taidong and Hualien or other little townships as a way to share ideas, share stories. And throughout my time organizing these TED events and TED Talks, I got to discover a lot of people with good ideas and stories to make our societies and countries become a better place. So it was during that time when then KMT administration wanted someone with fresh ideas who are representative of young generation and who come from a entrepreneurial and innovation background. So they nominated me to be a legislator at large. Before that, I didn't have any political affiliation. But then I realized if I am given a chance to make a difference, and I figure I could give a shot. And even though KMT is a conservative party, and some of the issues that their stance might not be in the same line with me, such as LGBT and same-sex marriage and other socially progressive issues. But I figure if I have a chance to be a member of a legislature and representing KMT as a conservative party, I can still move the needle and bring the party closer to the center line by helping push forward the progressive agenda. That becomes my model, and just to move the party to center and also help push the progressive agenda.
As you say, the KMT is quite a conservative party. Has your agenda put you at odds with your chosen political alignment?
So it was always an uphill battle because politics is very much about generational perception of values. So a lot of values that I identify with are with the current generations, and they might not be in line with the older generation. But it took me countless times, communication, and also in making the party senior members understand that younger voters' aspiration and also the trend, and also just the belief that if we were to move society forward, the two parties must work together. And sometimes there are issues that are not so much about ideology. It's about the future and also about the social progressiveness. And I think we could work together in passing the laws that can set examples for the future generations. So indeed, as you said, the legislation on same-sex marriage and LGBT, I'm at odds with my party. However, I didn't perceive that as a obstacle to stop me from pushing it. I realized that if I could represent a KMT supporting a social progressive agenda, that could give young people hope that an older party like KMT can also be current and be thoughtful of their needs and also care for disadvantaged and marginalized groups. And that's how I position myself.
Today, Hsu is Senior Research Fellow at the Ash Center for Democratic Governance and Innovation at the Harvard Kennedy School. And he hopes his story is both an inspiration and proof to those who can dream big.
Well, I think it's the sense of aspiration that sky is the limit. And it all stems from the days that I spent at the night market and believing that your origin is your roots, and that's how you remember who you are, but it doesn't restrict you from going higher. And so being where I'm now as a visiting fellow at Harvard, I think the way I wanted to share with the community or the people that I interact with at Harvard is that what is Taiwan and what represents the value and characteristics of a place like Taiwan. I wanted to be about, number one, innovation, and then entrepreneurship and hardworking people like my parents. So the idea of grit, that we all bear the brunt of the past, and then we wanted to tell our own stories. Lastly, Taiwan is a beacon for democracy and liberty and a freedom of speech. And so you could say that by being there, I am there to tell a story about Taiwan and how Taiwan strives from the past as a rather difficult place and now become the powerhouse of semiconductor chips, an island of democratic value, and even in face of a daunting challenge with mainland China's ambition to take over Taiwan. So the idea of resilience, and that we as a resilient people are there to contribute to the world and are there to tell the stories of our own characteristics. So that's the story I want to tell, and that's a story I want to share to the world, and I want to make Taiwan known to the world with this set of characteristics that I described about innovation, entrepreneurship, grit, and resilience. And then lastly, but most importantly, about democracy and freedom and liberty.
You were listening to Jason Hsu, former KMT lawmaker-at-large and now senior fellow at the Hudson Institute in Washington, D.C. You can catch this episode on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you download your podcasts. I'm Hope Ngo. Thank you for tuning in.